You're listening to the Tony and Josh Show.
Good evening and welcome to the Tony and Josh pre-show. If you're if you're here for the first time or watching the recorded version on YouTube for the first time, basically what we do is about 15 minutes before showtime, if we ever get started on time, which generally we don't, we start the pre-show. We start sending out to the stream, get everybody lubed up and geared up towards having a good time on the show. So basically, sit back, listen to some music. It's the same music we play every week because we're cheap. We don't have a budget. I guess we have a budget. It's just, like $3. So the music's pretty good though, for free. Anyway, sit back. Josh will be joining us here in a minute on Skype, and we'll get started with the show between 10 and 10:15 Central Time. Well, with the feedback, I know Josh has joined us. So, good evening, Josh.
Hi. Do I have a bad connection with some feedback or something?
As soon as I picked up the Skype connection, I got a feedback from the music that I was playing.
Yeah, I had that level up quite a bit louder than I normally do when I'm hooked up to you, and it apparently came through the cans into the speaker.
Yeah, we have, and I don't care what happens in your bathroom. So I think we have a bad Skype connection. It's a bit echoey, a bit tin canny, so to speak.
I'll call you right back.
All right. Just to remind everybody, we have a live chat room, and you can also watch the show live over at TonyandJosh.com. So if you're watching the live event on YouTube, if you like live chat rooms, where you can interact with other folks that are watching the show, you can go over to TonyandJosh.com, and there's no signing in necessary. I think that the chat room just basically says name. You type in whatever the hell you want to call yourself, and start chatting. Well, so let's see how you're sounding, Josh.
How am I sounding?
Oh, back to normal.
Hey, fantastic.
So you guys are getting a lot of rain over there, huh? Oh, really, really a lot of rain.
Yeah, we've had some good rain in the last week or so. I mean, nothing we haven't really seen ever before. It's just we're making up for kind of a dry summer,
Gotcha.
I guess.
Well, you enjoyed the dry summer. I remember you being so happy with being able to get outside and scraping the fungus off of your back and getting out there and
yeah.
all that moisture.
Awesome.
Yeah, the moss. Yeah, the little turtles with all the little green moss. I think Jesse Ryder, guy that interviewed, has the XJ, the two-wheel drive XJ that he's trying to take to, 11-second quarter mile.
Oh, yeah.
I think he posted up a picture the other day of this turtle with a very large back that looked like there should be a hole in it for the green. You know, looked like a putting green that was the back of a turtle. I think my remark was, excuse me, kind sir, could you scratch my back? Just a little to the left. I can imagine.
Right there, yeah.
Oh, that's it. So I had a lot of fun last night. I went ahead and put it in the show notes. Thought I would give a...
Do in your bathroom, Tony.
Huh?
I don't want to know what you do in your bathroom.
Well, that's good. So I had a good time last night watching Vaginal Fantasy. You know, the name pulls you in.
Right.
and then the fun, the drunk women is what keeps you there. Yeah,
I've never I've never seen or really know too much about. I'm hoping this isn't some sort of a play or something.
No, I've told you about it before. It's where they a group of women review a romance novel.
Oh, that's right.
Felicia Day, Veronica Belmont, and then Bonnie Burton, and the last name I've got it here somewhere, but it's hard to say. It's one of those YouTube names that we say. Is it? I guess it's Kyla, Kiala, Casby.
Caseby?
Caseby, I guess.
Sure. Why not?
So anyway, they get on there and they drink a lot and they talk a lot, and I really enjoyed just the interaction between them. I don't read the books. I don't know anything about the books. I'm not a romance novel fan, and it's just fun listening to these four girls talk about this novel as they get drunk.
So now they are devout Tony and Josh fans. Yes.
Oh, I don't even think they know I exist. Well, I guess they know I exist, or I should say we. I guess they know we exist somewhat because I got a couple of favorites on the on some tweets. I'll give you an example. They had a guest last night. I've never seen them have a guest on the show before. And on Google Hangouts, it's just a picture, a video image. Somebody pops up and it goes to them whenever they talk. So their guest was just another window of the four normal windows for the four normal members of the show. Anyway, the guest thought it would be fitting, pardon the pun, or humorous, to wear a hat with a vagina on the hat.
I see.
And again, pardon the pun, I believe it was a handmade vagina. And it was. I thought to myself, this is going to be good for at least 50 bad jokes and puns. And it was at least 50 that I was able to come up with. And in fact, somebody made a comment about a hot dog, and it came to mind that if this lady that had the vagina hat,
one of those Oscar Mayer wiener hats, and
well,
maybe running in the wrong direction without looking.
Stick with me here for a second. This vagina hat, and if she had a hot dog shoe and was a gymnast, then you got a show.
I see. Then you got a show.
Then you got a show. That's a show. Now, if it was, and then later on I thought about it, and I said, now, if you had a pair of hot dog shoes, then you get a XXX rating.
Yeah, I think you'd have to.
And I didn't get any response for this one, and it may have been for good reason. I said, yeah, it's a nice hat, but you can only wear it 25 days out of the month.
Jeez. That's horrible.
I enjoy them.
Funny, but horrible.
I don't need your pity. He didn't think it was funny. I know, because you're remembering the disappointment you feel. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Really? So anyway, I thought I'd give a little shout out to the show because it was so much fun, and they didn't tell me to shut the hell up.
Anyway.
Felicia Day basically was saying, as she was instructing the audience, that you can ask questions via Twitter. And I said, "Oh, gee, I hope smart-ass comments are okay." And one of the people that was following the feed, the Twitter feed, said those are the best kind. So that was good enough for me.
Yes.
I just went full bore.
I hope they realize, exactly what they're doing. I hope they know what they're doing because they have just given the green light to all that is Tony, and I'm sure the floodgates are going to open, and there's going to be a lot of fun to be had.
Okie dokie. So, I am going to have to try to throttle myself on the scientific talk, because I know I'll get wrapped up in that because it's just so damned exciting.
So I figured we'll push that towards the end. If we go a little bit long, not a big deal. The last topic would be some Halloween talk. I figured it'd be apropos for the time of the season and stuff. But not a big deal if we don't fit it in. So
I think that's a good idea. No, I think that's a good idea.
All right, so I've kind of skimmed through that article, so I'm gonna definitely be taking co-pilot on that one.
No, I've read it. I read through it, and I actually edited out the stuff that I thought was pertinent to trying to whittle it down, so to speak, to a manageable level, and even that is long. So I think that I can wing that myself, and you can jump in there with questions and comments and oh my.
You will, yeah.
So very exciting. It's like in the 1980s whenever the much higher temperature superconductor came out, and then shortly after that there was an announcement about cold fusion.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought to myself, here it is. This is it. 21st century. All our problems are going to be solved. And of course, the cold fusion never happened. But the 400 what was it? 400 degrees? Maybe not 400 degrees. Maybe negative 300 degrees superconductor is still a reality, but that hasn't risen much since then. Although I guess it has risen, but it's still not room temperature. Room temperature superconductors would be amazing.
That would be something else. I'm sure that they exist, but, big energy doesn't want it to come to fruition because they'd be out of business.
Yep. It makes you can use the room temperature superconductors to make a carburetor that will get you 600 miles to the gallon.
Yeah, and it's, yeah. There's too much money to be made between now and then. And then they keep pushing then out. This technology, I'm sure, has existed. It's had to have existed by now. And all the other advancements we've made in shrinking other technologies, I'm pretty sure that's been on the radar for quite some time. And something has come and is in a plain box in some warehouse tucked way back on aisle 733, and we'll never ever see it.
Oh, and I don't know if you noticed or not. You probably did. I went ahead and typed in all the names, or not all the names, several of the names from the cast of Walking Dead.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
So hopefully that'll help us in our Walking Dead segment. And if you guys are interested, we kind of hit upon a good idea last week, which we forgot to do our Walking Dead segment, so we recorded it separately. And I thought, well, I'll just push it out as a standalone. And the response was very good. So we're going to do that again. Besides that, I think Josh and I just really enjoy talking about it. We have to hold back we have to feather the throttle so we don't go an hour just talking about it.
That's right.
All right, I'm going to close things up and turn on the bright light, and I'll be right back.
Okay.
Oakley dokley.
Alrighty.
So have you seen that preview for Dumb and Dumber 2?
I know of it. I think I've seen, maybe about 2.5 seconds worth. So, just a couple scenes, yeah.
I was really shocked. I mean, I know it's been a few years since the first movie came out with Jim Carrey, but I was shocked just to see how old he looks in that Mo haircut and playing that same character again, which I'm sure they're going to make fun of because that they don't. I know Jim Carrey has no problem making fun of himself. But
it's 20 years. No, wait, it's 94 to 20 years.
Oh, okay, good. So I couldn't help but thinking while I was watching some of those previews that Jenny McCarthy must have just literally sucked the life out of Jim Carrey. He is. It was just. But it's a worthwhile old age.
Oh, wow. I'm glad somebody else has noticed that. Yeah.
There's one scene or one preview where he is eating a hot dog and he has the weenie out of the bun and he's sucking it in and out of his mouth rapidly with mustard on it. It's just so uncomfortable, hilarious.
Oh, that's horrible.
It is. Oh,
well, he says he'll do anything for a laugh. He ain't kidding. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's a lot of. My wife can't stand him. I've always enjoyed him. I guess it is that kind of like Three Stooges type humor. I mean, certainly a level up from that, because he can't act too. But not that the Three Stooges couldn't act. I don't know. I just never saw him do any acting. What was it? Three Stooges and the Sleeping Beauty? That was a movie that I remember. Anyway.
Okay.
All right, let me think about what I'm going to do here. So we're going to play that.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, I think we're ready. I think I'm
All
ready.
right.
I'm sure you're ready. I'm thinking I'm ready.
I'm good to go.
Warning. The opinions, ideas, views, emotions, and temper tantrums expressed or otherwise conveyed on the Tony and Josh Show may not and most likely is not suitable for all audiences and therefore should not be heard by anyone unless supervised by an appropriate nanny state. Enjoy!
Welcome to the Tony and Josh Show. Tony and Josh are the functionally illiterates of the podcasting world. Now here they are. Tony and Josh.
Freaking-lutely. Josh, the whole waving sequence is off again.
Oh, I thought I had it this week.
I know.
I thought I had it this week.
It's my fault. I should have mentioned about the little opening thing with the neon sign. That gets played during the music first. So if you'd like to do a wave now, go right ahead.
Oh, yeah, both hands. Hey, there we go. Hi, guys.
One hand's much bigger than the other. Oh, it's probably because you work out. All right, so this is episode 46 of the Tony and Josh Show. See, I'll pay you back. You know me as Tony.
And you guys know me as Josh.
Or not the Tony.
We're here to inform, and entertain you guys, give you a laugh or two. We've searched the entire interwebs, and we've found these earth-shaking stories to bring you guys tonight.
Oh, gee, what is it? It's such a professional show. Damn it! I keep clicking on the thing and it keeps disappearing. So a little Halloween talk? Well, maybe.
Yeah, just maybe. We're going to have some of that tonight. We're going to have a nice big middle finger extended out to AT&T. And a new gun owner is robbed at gunpoint.
Oh, and apparently there's no NRA hats allowed while voting in Georgia.
I'm gonna walk in there with an American flag and wear nothing else and see what they do.
Well, I got plenty to say about that one because it may be on the up and up, but it just pisses me off because of what it infers. And in Georgia.
Yeah, nonetheless. But before we get into all that, I want to make sure you guys give us a call to join us live during the show as we broadcast it over the interwebs every Wednesday, 10 p.m. Central. Give that number a call. It's 267-507-0240. Special number, 219-835. Of course, you guys can always tweet us at Tony and Josh Show, or you can watch the show live and chat with us live over at TonyandJosh.com.
Hey, I want to give a quick shout-out to a little YouTube Live. I guess it actually was a Google Hangouts that I enjoy watching. I actually caught this thing. I was looking at YouTube, and I forget exactly how I saw it. I think I was following Felicia Day. Felicia Day, her from several shows. One of them was Eureka, another show, current show, which is, what is it? I just saw my daughter watching it earlier. Supernatural.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know she had at least a couple cameos on Supernatural.
And, well, more so than a cameo, was an integral part of a few stories there. I don't watch that show, but I know I've seen her as I'm moseying through the living room, and my daughters are watching the show. But anyway, I was following her. She does some things online, and there was something associated with her and this show called Vaginal Fantasy. And I'm thinking to myself, now that's a name for a show.
Right. You're going to have to tune into this. I wonder what we're going to see.
So I was curious and watched one of the recorded shows that they do, and it was quite funny. Basically what they do is...
and so is this like the opposite of the whole puppetry of the penis thing? Because, that was a huge play for many years across Broadway.
I had never heard of it.
Oh, mention that.
First I've ever heard of it was right here, but I'm illiterate. This Vaginal Fantasy thing is a Google Hangout, and it's got Felicia Day, Veronica Belmont. I don't know if you've probably seen Veronica Belmont on things like on the Sci-Fi Channel or one of the more geeky type shows, PC related type thing.
Something like that. Yeah, okay.
Very funny, and she's also on this Google Hangout. Bonnie Burton, and I think we decided that it was Kayla.
Kayla.
Is it Kayla?
I have no idea.
Kayla. And Casby, and I think you pronounced it better. Kisby.
Kayla Casby.
And so they basically review a romance novel every month. And what's funny is that they drink. They start drinking when the show starts. And they drink throughout the entire show as they're discussing this romance novel. And what hooked me in was listening to them going off on the side tangents, because I'm not reading the book. I'm not a romance novel fan.
Yeah, so much.
So definitely a woman type thing. Although if you're a man, you like the romance novels, that's fine too. Whatever your lead in for the getting that date is, that's cool with me. I understand.
Sure.
But anyway, so I kind of took it. I was able to go to a live broadcast of the show last Tuesday of every month, and I decided to do a little live tweeting during the show, and just the hashtag Vaginal Fantasy. And it was a lot of fun. Got quite a few favorites and retweets out of it, and did it again last night. And some of the same people that were making notice of my bad humor and puns. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? We're doing the same thing.
That's not the Tony I know. Come on.
Exactly. So just thought I would give a quick shout out to some of those folks that seem to be enjoying the fun that we were having last night. Allison P., the Blogness, who was actually the guest on Vaginal Fantasy last night, and wore a vagina hat, which was a lot of fun.
And colorful, I'm sure.
Yes, it was. Handmade. And there was Monica, Greek and Sundry, which is the group that the Vaginal Fantasy is under. So it was like the creators of Vaginal Fantasy. And the Loud Lady, which she really seems to enjoy my tweets, or is trying to calm me down by favoriting them, which doesn't work. Andrea Rimini, somebody that just goes by simply as Sparkle, and the Vaginal Fantasy Twitter account themselves, Catherine Pride, and there was several more that I really appreciated. And it was wonderful having you guys react to that, and I really appreciate it. Made a lot of fun for me. And Josh can attest to this. I have a tendency to say a joke and just laugh, and it doesn't matter if anybody else enjoys it. It's just that much better if they do. I just enjoy my own humor.
Yeah, it's my joke. I thought it was funny, and be damned the rest of you.
So if you guys haven't ever caught that, you might want to go over to YouTube and do a search for Vaginal Fantasy and see what I'm talking about. You'll see that it is a lot of fun. It's about an hour-long show, and it's just free form, a Google Hangout, 4 girls having a good drunk time.
Well, it sounds like a party to me.
Speaking of parties...
So, we got some voicemails to play, don't we?
Yes, that's a good party too. So let's get our Nikki G fix this week.
Hey, this is Nikki G, and I just want to make a quick comment this week about the people who hop the fence and run up to the White House. Yeah, you figure I know this is kind of science fictionist, but maybe in the future there'll be a way to maybe electrify this fence so people won't be able to scale over it. But until that technology is developed, how about we just set a few alligators loose on the lawn, or maybe a couple of tigers?
Oh, my.
Or just put Joe Biden up on the porch in a chair. Because not even Jehovah's Witnesses will go up to that. All right, guys. And I got a feeling I'll have to apologize next week to the Jehovah's Witnesses. But anyhow, you guys have a good one. I will chat you later. Yeah, I'm going. Bye.
Electrified fence. He must think this is the 21st century or something.
Right? So he ought to patent that idea or something like that. Nikki G, you could be rich. I think that sounds like a very original idea to me.
Hey, he may be rich, and we just don't know it.
All right.
He may have cornered the market on tinfoil.
Well, somebody who's cornered the market as far as communications go, I'd say would definitely be a company like AT&T, and they've been in the news recently, or at least on somebody's radar. Tony, take it away.
Yeah, I'm a little sick and tired of this. Now, if you guys aren't aware, I work in the IT field, and the IT field usually means circuits because, you've got remote offices that have to communicate back with to the data center in one form or another, and subspace radio hasn't been invented yet. So, I find myself on the phone quite often talking to AT&T, and, it's always a cluster F whenever you're dealing with pretty much any communications carrier out there. But the thing that gets me is while you're going through the 15 freaking minutes of, I see you're calling from, and you go, no, because, you're calling from work. It's not the number to the store. So they go, I'm sorry, what number are you calling from?
Right.
Operator. Just, I hate those damn. I have a very good understanding now as to why in the original Star Wars movie that the actors didn't want to talk to the droids. It's just like talking to this automated thing on the phone. It doesn't make a damn bit of difference. Tell me something that I need to know and shut the hell up. It's what you want to do.
I hate the automated phone trees that seem to never end. You're going through options and they don't recognize what you're saying, and you got to push this button and you got to wait for that prompt to pop up, and meanwhile 15 minutes has gone by and you still haven't spoken to anybody, and it's just a great old time. So imagine that where you go through this logic tree of talking to some disembodied voice with no soul. Well, I guess the same could be said when you talk to a Democrat. But they're called voiceover artists, Tony, and I am highly offended.
Well, then you understand. So you finally get through this logic tree, and you're finally seeing some possibility of talking to a human to actually get something done, and they give you a commercial. AT&T, take the pledge. Never text and drive. Just shut the hell up. I do not need you and your morality, AT&T, who is in existence because I'm paying you money. I do not need you preaching to me, just like I don't need the federal government preaching to me about what I should and shouldn't do. I literally told the guy on the phone, I'm skipping ahead, and it's bad enough to have the automated voice do it, but they've got the people, the live people, now reading that thing about doing the, take the pledge, never text and drive. And I stopped him and I said, I want you to tell your supervisor, I don't need AT&T telling me not to text and drive. I'm an individual. I'll make that decision for myself because I know what I can do and what I can't do. And he started laughing. He goes, I'll let him know. Because I get the feeling it's like the guy at McDonald's saying, you want fries with that?
Yeah.
He would much rather prefer not. Oh, and they bend over backwards to apologize that you're having any reason to call in, and we'll take care of you right away, sir. I remember I asked a guy one day, I said, man, you guys are so polite, they must beat you with sticks.
No, it's I'm sure it's a script. They've got typical type of who's, what's, when's, why's, where's type of responses that they key up, and sir, I understand why you're calling in and you're having a problem, and I am eternally regretful and full of sorrow for your experience that It's like, okay, you're laying it on a little thick.
Oh, very thick.
Just get me to who I need to talk to, please. Thank you.
I just want to give you the stinking circuit number and, make a guess at what the password is so we can get this thing working, and just like this, I know you have to do these things, but you don't have to tell me to take the pledge and never text and drive. This goes back to the whole nanny state. The government takes care of you. Now AT&T has to take care of you. No, don't put up with that, people. Tell them to mind their own goddamn business, and which is getting your circuit fixed or getting you good service so you can get on the internet, make a phone call. That's what you need to focus on, not what I'm doing in the privacy of my room, car, or sniper position in a tower somewhere.
Well, you just got to think of all the calories that have been burnt, all the hours spent and money spent on developing that marketing strategy so they can get their public service announcement, which is probably a huge tax write-off, too.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah?
So I guess the next thing they're going to start talking about is not giving your kids too much food to take to school because they're not buying those lunches that that Michelle Obama has been pushing on everybody. Have you seen a picture of that stuff?
Oh, geez, yeah. No, and then you got the automated phone tree service telling you, and did you really need that extra large soda?
Yes, guns are bad. Oh, gee. So anyway, that's my rant about AT&T. It just pissed me the hell off. I've had enough. I don't have to take it anymore. No, wait, that's from a movie. It's pissed me off. I don't want to have to deal with this anymore, and I'm calling on the Tonyans to stand up and let AT&T know that you don't need them telling us what to do. Remember,
just call up your provider and tell them to F off.
Yes, exactly. If you can actually talk to a real person, if you can wade through the 30 minutes of getting to them, then yes, tell them that.
Yes.
And don't take it out on the people answering the phone. They're the people that are just working the drive-through. They're just doing what they need to do to get their $15 an hour. Oh, by the way, did you hear that McDonald's is flirting with automated technology so that they don't?
I'm not surprised.
So they don't have to actually have anybody there.
And a fully automated McDonald's. Well, doesn't that sound tasty?
Well, could you imagine if it still had the great taste of McDonald's, but plus your order was always correct? Performance as far as getting your order was 50% increase in performance. Oh, and maybe the price might drop a nickel. There you go.
Exactly.
These people, these people don't know what they're messing with. They're in the 21st century now.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty soon everything's going to be automated, and I'm sure there's been more than a few movies made to that extent.
Yeah, the only thing that won't be automated is podcasts.
Yeah,
we're on the cutting edge.
Or now, and hopefully the next 100 years or so. Well, guys, this story is near and dear to my heart in the sense that it happened, pretty near to my home, in fact, just down the way, just a couple weeks ago, in fact. A 21-year-old man openly carrying a handgun was robbed. Okay, big deal, right? A big gang of thugs rolls up and overtook him, right? Yeah, no, not so much. Not exactly. You see, what happened was someone took a liking to that shiny new gun he was toting around. You sure do have a pretty gun, boy. And decided that they deserved it more than he did. So at gunpoint, we'll call him Tweedledum, was robbed of his own gun. Funny unto itself, nothing else but for the irony, right? Well, I thought so too, but it gets better. By a lone gunman, Mr. Dumb was relieved of his weapon, and just when you thought it couldn't get any worse for the poor unlucky Mr. Dumb, this all happened on the very same day he purchased said sidearm. The story reached such epic levels of both unluck and stupidity that it was even aired on my local news station, KPTV. So you got to hold on to that a little tighter, I think. I mean, come on. The same day you buy a gun, you walk out the store, you're 6 blocks down the road, and you are relieved of your weapon by another guy at gunpoint. It's just ridiculous. I didn't even think I lived in that kind of neighborhood. But sure enough, this might even be a racket. I'm going to have to go down to this gun store and find out if this is something that's happened frequently. Might be this roving guy just circling outside of the gun shop, just robbing people at random whenever they come out with a weapon that he so likes.
The gun shop may be in like those payday loan things where you give the title of your car and then they take your car and they sell the car and they have your they have more money than what they lend out to you. They may be doing the same thing with the guns where they they sell them, they repo them illegally, and sell it again. No,
well, the paperwork never goes through. The guy, he's got to apply for the permit or whatever, and that is submitted fakely or whatever. And the serial number is never really entered into the system. They retrieve the gun through these illegal means, maybe allegedly. Possibly, who knows? Yeah. And then they end up reselling it 3 months later. Yeah, do the same thing all over again.
So now I think you did mention this. It's open carry where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's what I don't like about open carry. I like the concealed carry because I like the idea of the bad guys not knowing who and who doesn't have a gun.
We can conceal carry here. You just need a permit to do so.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking, well, of course you can conceal. If you can open carry, you should be able to conceal. But I forget, this is the law. It's not common sense. It's not logical.
Yeah. I know.
So, but it's conceal and carry in Texas, and there's several people working towards open carry. I'm hoping that you can still do conceal and carry, although I do have a nice thigh holster that would be pretty cool to carry the Glock around in. I just don't like the idea, call me a prude, but I just don't like the idea of openly carrying a handgun. I like it much better that people don't know. They can just guess. It's just like they don't know what's behind that locked door that they're going to be breaking into. Because it's not a glass house. You can't see what you might be up against. You're making an educated guess. You could be wrong, and it may cost you. So
right.
So
that's
anyway,
why, more armed citizens, just less of like Mr. Dumb here. I guess I don't know.
Well, you don't know who's armed. They all could be armed, and it's a crapshoot as far as who you're going to pick from. And you certainly probably won't be trying to steal a gun from them. Did they mention anywhere what gun it was?
No. If they have, it's in a different report. I actually could probably look up the actual police report, which I'm sure has a better description of the weapon. All I know is it's a handgun.
Yeah. Do you know if it was one of those chrome, nickel, bright, shiny ones, or if it was black?
I don't.
Yeah. I was just thinking, that's what I always tell everybody. I like all my guns to be black because the first time that somebody knows that I have it is when it goes off. That's my goal.
Yeah, I said shiny new gun that he was toting around in the story there, but that could just be the newness on it. It could have been a flat black Glock. Who knows?
No, I understand. I just I heard that's what made me think of it, and that's a good description of a new gun. But I just some people like that. They want the flash. They want to be seen carrying this gun, and I think this is the wrong way to go. But that's just me.
Handle. Little chrome tassel on it. I don't know.
Yeah, the ivory handle inlay, yada, 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 NRA symbol, and et cetera, et cetera.
So you kind of pre-warned in the pre-show that there's not a sci-fi story, a science story here in our news lineup. And we definitely have to delve into this because I love this kind of techie kind of stuff. And apparently we've got some new power on the horizon, Tony. What do we got?
So the NRA segue I just made wasn't good enough for you.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I'm much more excited about this story because the inner geek in me is just, is vibrating, and in a good way. So, so you guys have heard of the Skunk Works? They made the Blackbird, the super secret spy jet that flies super high, takes 5 states to make a turn when it's at top speed. Oh wow, what a great jet that is! What a great aircraft that is that they built like in 6 months, designed and built in 6 months. Anyway, it seems the Skunk Works has done it again. They reveal a compact fusion reactor. So remember that the compact fusion reactor, that's CFR, and that's what they refer to it as. So the Lockheed Martin research team has been working quietly, as they do this very well, on a nuclear energy concept they believe that has the potential to meet, and if not eventually, decrease the world's insatiable demand for power. I'm so proud I got that word right. Dubbed the Compact Fusion Reactor, CFR, the device is conceptually safer, cleaner, and more powerful than a much larger current nuclear systems that rely on fission, the process of splitting atoms to release energy. Crucially, by being compact, Lockheed believes its scalable concept will also be small and practical enough for applications ranging from interplanetary spacecraft and commercial ships to city power stations. It may even revive the concept of large nuclear-powered aircraft that never require refueling. Ideas of which were largely abandoned more than 50 years ago because of the dangers and complexities involved with nuclear fission reactors. A big airplane to land, just like a nuclear sub, but flying around. Can you imagine, Josh?
Oh yeah, no. This is the kind of stuff we've been waiting for.
Oh yeah.
So I'm wondering. Okay, so they're saying spacecraft. They're saying commercial buildings. I mean, city power substations and stuff like that. These things can't be all that big, I'm thinking. So when they say compact, we're used to seeing these new installations that take up acres of property. This sounds like it's smaller than a city block.
Yeah, much smaller. And actually, I'm glad you mentioned that about the large units, because I think a lot of us are familiar with technology using a tokamak, which is basically this toroid coil magnetic field that holds the reaction in the middle. And it seems that the problem with the tokamak, which was invented in the 50s by physicists in the Soviet Union, the problem is that ring itself is like they make in this article they talk about it being like a bicycle tire, and the more air or plasma you put that it's got to hold, it puts more pressure on that ring, because the tokamak is just basically like a bicycle tire magnetic field, a toroid, and it basically can collapse that field, and it'll burst like a tire would burst, and that's not good for anybody, especially the machine. So they've developed this, and I believe they have made it work in a lab environment. Basically what they're doing is they're taking tubes of superconductors, which we were making reference to a little bit earlier, and these tubes of superconductor have the ability to hold the plasma in between the tubes, and it has a feedback mechanism so that as the plasma increases, the pressure of the plasma increases, it increases the magnetic field around the plasma. So they're talking about where the tokamak is only about 5% efficient, they're talking about a 100 or greater than 100% efficiency with this design. And because the efficiency is so much higher, the reactor can be 10 times smaller than one of the tokamak designs. So that's where we're able to collapse this thing down. And they're talking about this thing being about the size of a commercial jet. Not the full jet. I'm sorry, a commercial jet engine. So something that would fit in that could be actually pulled around by an 18-wheeler potentially has enough power generation capability, 100 megawatts, to power 80,000 homes.
Wow. Jeez.
Yeah. So if it's that size, you can quite easily see how the fission reactors aboard our aircraft carriers and submarines could be replaced by a fusion reactor and generate more power more safely. Now, there are some radioactive components that do occur because of this process. Some of the metals and stuff that are used would be radioactive at the end of its life. But this radiation exists for 100 years before it decays and goes back to normal, whereas, the fission reactors, if we remember our history from the 70s and 80s, and I think it was primarily back then, where they were trying to take all this nuclear waste and dump it in Nevada, and they were trying to come up with ways of trying to market so that in 50 years, if society has collapsed and people don't remember what happened 50,000 years ago, there will be some way to warn those human beings away from this deadly site. Because you don't know, you see these shows, and there's no telling what information would be there, what information wouldn't, and you don't want to be killing off the human race years down the road. Now the problem with this, 100 years radiation on the metal parts, and you're done. So this is an amazing thing that's coming out. They've got patents that they're waiting to have approved, and I think before they want to release too much information. But what they were saying in the article was that over the next 5 years, they believe that they can come up with a successive generation of new CFRs. CFRs, and have a fifth generation in 5 years, and then about 5 years after that, they believe they will have a commercial reactor. That they need to pull people in that do the stuff that gets the heat off of the reactor and generates the electricity, and how to get all that set up so that it can be easily integrated into the current electrical grid, which is what their plan is. So they would literally be able to take one of these reactors about the size of a trailer of an 18-wheeler, roll it into a station or anywhere where they could tie into a large section of the power grid, and within a week or so be generating power.
It's just amazing. I mean, and this is the kind of stuff that, it's about time is all I can say.
No, I agree. So, and this is the thing that I thought was really cool. Fuel. We all, we pay for the fuel, the gas. Fortunately, gas prices are coming down here, but, of course, they're going to go back up. Now, you would figure that this is going to require millions or billions of dollars of some radical fuel. Nope. Deuterium. Is that right? Deuterium. It is there's a lot of deuterium in seawater. So it's basically limitless. And you also need some tritium and some lithium, but these things are very easy to get. There's quite a bit of it around the planet. And check this out. Lockheed estimates that less than 25 kilograms, 55 pounds of fuel would be required to run an entire year of operations.
Oh, wow. Well, that's per one of these units, and each one of these units is 80,000 homes. I mean, we're going to need many of these units.
Well, they're so small. You could literally you could have a lot of backups too.
Well, yeah. That's just I can see substations on tens or 20s, dozens of these things all stacked up or whatever in a grid array. I have no idea. But basically powering the entire state. And it's you got a few in each city as backup, and you're good to go.
So I can see that probably within the next 20 years, if this happens in the time scale that they're talking about, I can see in the next maybe 20 years, Mr. Fusion powering your vehicle.
Very could be. Yeah, I could see that.
And time travel. But seriously, something that's very small that you could be able to have in your vehicle. Where you could literally buy a vehicle that would have all the fuel that it ever needed.
I see this working on a more municipal level. Garbage trucks, dump trucks, or not dump trucks, but especially city buses, transit, any kind of transit system, taxi cabs, things like that. Definitely, police department, emergency service.
It extends out the automobile and 18-wheelers that are moving cargo. They talk about how you can move cargo cheaply on a train. Well, now you have the ability to take a vehicle with a much smaller load and go anywhere you want to, whereas a train has to be offloaded. Trains certainly have a big benefit, but the ability to take the cargo to its destination, like in an 18-wheeler, is much more handy than having to offload it from a train. So now it basically extends the life of these vehicles instead of this idea, this concept where you have to do something different, that you have to change things radically. No, we extend what we already have many, many years and make it a lot more cheaper and efficient to do the same thing we're already doing.
Yeah, the only way that I see this going mass market is the ability, once they find a way to eradicate, eliminate, or extremely diminish the amount of radiation that is produced, and how to contain that. Because I can see Tweedledum getting.
There's virtually no radiation to this situation. The fusion reactors, they don't work off of nuclear radiation. The process, I think, over a long period of time, causes some metal components to become radioactive.
Oh, okay. So I imagined it. The very first time that it's fired up, it's irradiated.
No, it's just. Right. There's some X-rays and stuff that I think are generated whenever you go from hydrogen to a helium atom, but it's nothing like a fission reactor. You don't have the problems associated with a fission reactor. But yeah, well, it may keep it from being in automobiles, but at the very least, you'll be able to use these things for charging batteries on a electric car. A truly electric car that doesn't require fossil fuels to charge, which we're in the process now. Everybody's pushing the electric car, but you're still burning something, some coal or some hydrocarbon that you're some carbon-based thing that you're making the power out of.
Well, either way, Tony, in 20 years when I'm driving my Mr. Fusion-powered Cadillac, I'm going to be wearing a lead-based codpiece or something. I'm going to be protecting something in any case, because I don't know, just the whole radiation thing. I know that technology is coming around. They can do like laser radiation on cancer and stuff now. It's very, very, very important advancements in medical technology as far as controlling radiation. So I'm sure the technology is, definitely there, and obviously they are making leaps and bounds improvements in downsizing this fission reactor technology. And yeah, 10 years, man, I see it. It's going to be small enough to where you're going to see it at least powering, individual buildings, and if not individual vehicles.
Well, I can see the military jumping on this big time, especially being able to fly something in the atmosphere virtually like a satellite, but not having to go through all the expense of getting in an orbit. Hey, you know what's coming up this weekend? Actually, this Friday, Halloween, and I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to turning off the light, watching the show, and ignoring them damn kids at the door.
What? Oh, Tony, such a bah humbug on the Halloween season here.
That's Christmas.
You guys, of course, know I do a huge display. This year, not so much. It's going to be raining, and which means I'm not going to be able to set up everything that I want to unless I really go out of the way and do something like rent one of those gigantic party tents or something like that and set that up over my property. I really don't want to go that far, but who knows? I might get a wild hair and decide to do it after all, but
maybe
unless I can.
Maybe a case of Scotch Guard from Amazon?
Yeah, get out there and destroy the ozone layer a little bit. No, but nonetheless, I still set things. I got a big, trucker's tarp type of thing that I hang up over from my roof line to about halfway down my front yard, and I'll be able to protect kind of things, and I'll be able to set something up. But
I feel bad for the kids. I mean, I don't mind messing with you about the Halloween thing because I know how you are about Halloween, but that's a shame for the kids.
Yes, they are. They do get terrified.
I'm talking about the rain, damn it.
Oh. I was going to say, because
it's not all about you.
I have damaged the poor psyche of many a children with my haunts every year, so I have a lot of fun. And
Good man.
Sure I've demolished these poor children for all life and eternity, so yeah. So, I mean, any family traditions over at your place as far as Halloween goes? Candy corn gets set out on the table, anything like that?
Well, my wife and 2 adult daughters handle the whole thing, so I don't have to worry about anything. Occasionally, my wife will say, "Could you answer the door?" And I go, "I don't do that."
Jeez.
But I'm busy. I can fix my own food. You go answer the door. I don't want to answer the door. I don't want to see these people I don't know.
So, do you guys go to haunted houses? I mean, did you take the girls to haunted houses when they were smaller at all?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
No.
All right.
My wife would take them to various places. To be honest with you, I was usually just zapped from going to work all day. That was from that long 16-year IT career, and that thing just busted my ass. And I came home, I was tired.
I went to a haunted house a couple weeks ago, and it was like 3 haunted houses in one, and each one had a different theme. And a lot of it was pretty, it's like, okay, this is kind of tacky, this is kind of lame. I was like, oh, this is really hodgepodge together. And then there was areas where it's like, this is really well done. I want to do this in my front yard type of thing, and but had a lot of fun and never really got super scared. There was one point where it was like 3 rooms kind of set up in a triangle, and each room was identical to the other, and each one had 3 doors. And so you go into one, and you come out of one, and you wait a minute, I was
cool.
just in this room. And seriously, we were in there for a good 5 minutes, running around, trying to figure out where we were, which door we'd come in or out of, and finally found our way out of this little trap, as it were. It's a trap! And went our rest of the way through the maze. I don't know, not really a maze.
Did you ever play? Did you ever play Adventure of the Colossal Cave? It was a word-based game.
No, I didn't.
It was just a description. It's like a story, but it changed because you would tell it to go north, left, up, down, whatever, and you would it would react to what your decisions were. Anyway, there was a section in there where you get into the wrong place because you'd actually have to draw a map of this place that was only existed in words, so you could get through this cave, the Colossal Cave. Anyway, one of the areas was you're in a twisty. You're in a maze of twisty little passages that all look alike. And and when you got to that port, you went, oh no! And then you broke out your map to remember the left, right, whatever, to get out of the twisty little maze. So anyway, that story reminds me of the twisty. You're in a maze of twisty little passages that all look alike.
So that reminds me a little bit of costumes that all looked alike when I was a kid and stuff. The sheet with the holes cut in it and stuff like that. Well, do you remember growing up what your worst Halloween costume was?
I don't. It's been so long ago, but when you said that, immediately thought of the Halloween movies and how they were so low on budget that they had to go find a mask for what was his name, Michael?
Yeah. Okay.
And they found, because at the time, I guess the William Shatner masks were on sale.
Oh, okay.
So they got the William Shatner mask, painted it, and that's what he wore for the entire movie. So you're terrified of William Shatner chasing you throughout the entire movie.
Why won't you just die?
And the thing is, that's probably one of the only movies that William Shatner was ever in where he didn't overact.
Right?
Just a dead stare.
Oh, no, I got to say my worst costume, it was, we're going through some hard times and family didn't have any money or anything like that. It was Halloween, couldn't afford to, go get a new costume. I'd outgrown the one from last year or whatever. And so I went as a bum and was dressed up in some tattered flannels and coffee grounds that were Vaselined to my face. For like scruffy 5 o'clock shadow look,
Oh, I can see that. Yeah,
I was like, well, I don't know, 10 years old or something like that. If that, I can't remember.
It's exactly. Funnier if you say 24.
Yeah. Oh, that Mom had put there so delicately with care, But and it was looking back, and I just kind of face palm a little bit, and it's just like, oh boy, that was. I understand, now why we had to kind of go to those extents to create a costume, but nonetheless.
But you had fun, right? I mean, you have memories of it.
I had a pillowcase and a handkerchief on a stick, and I went out and got my lot of candy, and I was just fine with it. So.
That seems familiar to me. But the pillowcase with the stick, it seems like I did something like that. The only thing that I remember is back whenever I used to do what you were doing now, as far as setting up your house for the trick-or-treaters. And I guess I was like 14, 15 years old, maybe a little older than that. Nah, it's probably 14, 15. I strung up I had an old candy container, the one you would carry as a kid, but it was a pumpkin head, with the eyes and stuff on it. Very common thing. And I got to thinking, and I went, well, I can drill a hole through the bottom of this, put a couple of 1 by, I don't know, 1.5 very thin pieces of wood, make kind of like an X, and then I can spread it out, and it kind of looks like shoulders, and put a sheet in there that Mom doesn't mind me using. And now I've got a ghost with a pumpkin head, put a flashlight in the pumpkin head, and now all I have to do, and now, because it's plastic, and it's going to glow. So now hang it from a tree in the yard. Oh, and I can tie another rope or string onto this and pull it back. So I got up on the roof and had, I think it was a Disney actual record, playing this. I actually put it on tape so I could loop it, and I was playing the scary sounds out of the house with all the wind and the wolf calls and all the rest of the stuff. And I was up there on the edge of the roof, and as the kids would come down the driveway, they would see this ghost hanging up there, and I made sure I held it very, very still. And then just as they got within swooping range, I let go of the rope. and it would swoop down on them. And there was kids hauling ass down our driveway and waiting out there while their mom was laughing and going, "It's okay." And I would pull it back up and wait for him to come. It's like, "Yeah, come on, now you're okay. Come on, swoop." So So I think the parents had more fun with it than anything else because they just thought it was hilarious. And they would come up and my mom would take care of, handing out the candy and stuff. So that was a lot of fun. And I can see very much how you can get into that because it's just, it's sadistic fun. It's all it amounts to.
It is a little twisted. I agree. But you're right. The parents love it. And, even the ones that, the kids are shaking, terrified, and running behind, grabbing daddy's leg and hiding from the bad, scary man. And, and the parent is just laughing their ass off. They're like, thumbs up, good one, happy Halloween, and all that. So you've never had
any problems with irate parents then?
No, not a
Good.
one. No, everybody's in the spirit around here, and everybody has a lot of fun. We have so many kids that come through here. And even when it's raining, usually it's by car at that point, and it's driving a lot of cars coming up and down the street, a lot of minivans, but we do get even if it's raining, we get the diehards out there with the umbrellas and stuff like that, making the best of it. So, got to give them a couple extra pieces of candy and of course, everybody gets a big cheery happy Halloween. And more oftentimes than not, the little kids, if they get a little too frightened, too scared, I pull the masks off and it's like, okay, it's okay, it's just me, it's just just a guy.
And then you get a wise ass that goes, ah!
Oh, it's a lot of fun. Well, I hope you guys out there have a happy Halloween. I'm sure by the time we release this, you will have gone into a full diabetic coma.
Yes.
But if that is the case, I hope you get better and drink lots of water, all that good stuff. But don't forget to head over, in the meantime, over to TonyandJosh.com, where you guys can catch up on all of your favorite podcasts. And, the entire show archive is available for free. Make sure you subscribe to us over at YouTube. And don't forget Twitter. Make sure you're following us there at Tony and Josh.
Yep. And, take some time to go over to youtube.com/Tony and Josh Show and subscribe. We've got the same number of subscribers that we've had for the last 2 months. And, it's a little depressing. We know you people are listening. We know you people must be enjoying the show because you keep coming back, unless it's more of that sadistic stuff where you're getting scared and you're going, I need to go do that again because I'm just too happy. So go over there to our YouTube channel and subscribe. Oh, and by the way, this is the end of the show, but not completely the end of the entertainment because Josh and I are getting ready to do our Walking Dead segment, which was kind of a standalone thing that we're releasing separately. Did the first one last week and seemed to be a big hit. So if you're into The Walking Dead and you want to hear more about that, stick with us, and you'll see it right here, whether it's live or you're watching the recording.
Yep. And, just another reason for you guys to join in on the live show. Broadcast live at TonyandJosh.com as well as YouTube at Tony and Josh Show. Guys, hope to see you next week.
Let us know about your Halloween, how it went. You can call in, or I say call in. It's a speak pipe thing that you can find right there on the TonyandJosh.com page. It's right over to the right-hand side. Just go over to the speak pipe. You just need a microphone or something, a USB mic, some of the built-in mics, whatever, on your, built-in mics on your laptop, or, you can get these cheap mics. And you heard Nicky G, and that's how he calls in. He calls in through SpeakPipe, and actually the quality can be quite nice. So until next week, this is Tony.
And this is Josh.
Have a great week and a safe and happy Halloween. Okie dokie. I don't know, kind of noticing a bit of a rough start, a little awkwardness, at least for me.
No, it was me too. I wasn't picking up what you were laying down, maybe vice versa. It took a little while for the gears to mesh tonight. I don't know.
So, is there anything you want to go over on The Walking Dead, or you just want to start talking about it?
I mean, we can go through the whole show kind of chronologically, yes?
Oh, no, let's just have fun with it.
Okay.
But I do want to do a little bit more on the front end as far as what show we're talking about and the name of the episode. That way people are very clear about what we're talking about. And I think it's fine to go back to a prior episode, if need be, but let's try to stay focused on the most recent episode. I think that will work better for people.
Yeah, and I mean that'll be definitely be the brunt of the conversation.
Yep. So you saw this. Just I don't want you to tell me too much, but your overall like or wow.
Both.
Oh really? That's interesting because mine was just wow. I'll tell you more about it here in a second. I don't want to ruin it. What was it? Something I heard the other day about Ed McMahon. He would not talk or interact with you if he was going to be on the show because he didn't want to leave. How do you put it? He didn't want to leave the entertainment in the hallway.
Right, and that that's I've said a couple times. Save it for the show.
Yeah,
because it's that newness, the chemistry, the
shock, the awe.
Yeah, it's genuine.
Right.
And you can definitely tell if something is a little bit more rehearsed than it is, or scripted than it is, truly genuine. And although, we mix the two of those together very blatantly in the show, this kind of stuff, because we are both passionate about the show, save some of that interaction goodness stuff for the actual broadcast, for the actual show.
I'm a little more passionate about it this season than I was with last, but I'll tell you more about that in a second. Recorder, so
okay, yeah.
I'm going to restart the recorder and play the music.
All right.
What the f*** were you thinking? Walkers, crawlers, blood, guts, and all that is zombie. It's time for Tony and Josh to recap this week's AMC's The Walking Dead.
Oh, I got to tell you, Josh, what a show. I'll just lay it out there right there. I'm not going to play hard to get. What a show. That was a great episode. And, of course, guys, we're talking about Season 5, Episode 3, or 503, if you want to be technically accurate with Internet Movie Database. And the name of that episode is Four Walls and a Roof.
And that's really what it comes down to, is pretty much the whole thing comes down to that church. That's the focal point of the whole show. Now, obviously, we have this other group that we have to contend with, and so the attention is diverted momentarily between the two groups until they meet. But where we left off last week was our buddy Bob was getting taste tested.
Yes, he was, and apparently he was much more flavorful than what they expected, and I knew it. Actually, I think we both knew it.
To say we both called it that he had he was a dirty bomb, so to speak.
He was being pre-digested as like when you have a good steak, you need to put some tenderizer on it so that it's more flavorful, and of course that's why the Bob meat was best. And I hate saying Bob meat. I didn't like the way that sounded.
Yeah. Bob Jerky? No. Bob Bake. I don't know.
I knew I had a funny line whenever I told my wife about the barbecue, and she started laughing out loud.
Oh, there it is.
But that was a great thing where he was crying, and then he starts laughing, and then he tells them, and there's literally somebody throwing up because they've eaten zombie tainted meat. Now, wouldn't you think as a cannibal about town that you may have inadvertently had zombie tainted meat in the past?
Well, no, because you remember this group was holding these people, and so they were watching them, making sure that they weren't bit and that they were turned.
Oh,
they were
good
basically
point.
They had their own filtration system, if you will. When you break it down
That's
like
true.
that.
They held them kind of in quarantine, kind of like we should be doing with our Ebola victims.
So I mean, they leave you hanging on this little, tidbit of it's not a tidbit, it's half his leg basically. At the end of the last show, and then this show, starts up, and I put myself in his shoes. I just woke up.
Just
my
one
leg
shoe.
is missing, and I just woke up. My leg is missing, and where am I going to go for another shoe polish now?
Will I get 50% off?
Yeah, right. But no, and I'm watching my captor eating my flesh. Oh my god. And then as you mentioned, he starts to kind of break down and cry. Well, no S. I would too. This is a horrible situation. But then he starts to laugh, and I knew it at that point.
Oh, it was great. He's lost it. He's lost it, and they go, well, he lasted longer than most. It's beautiful. I just knew what had to be coming.
And he said, tainted meat, tainted meat. And I was just like, that's it. I called it.
But of course, I was sad for Bob because Bob could have been another Herschel. He could have continued on in the storyline with one leg. I mean, like I said, Herschel did it. So I guess if you have to lose somebody, Bob was probably the one you want to lose. Although he was very positive, at least in the last two episodes, he came across as a very positive. And they were playing that game. Him and Sasha were playing
good, bad, or whatever.
Yeah, she was down, and he would come. He something positive about that. And I very much try to be that same person. I just hope I don't lose a leg in the process.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I didn't expect him to be showing up on the lawn of the church, so to speak. When they said there's something out on the lawn, the last thing I expected was it to be him.
Well, and they were giving away their position too. They were they were letting everybody know, which was a much bigger force than the leftover cannibals. They were tipping their hand, so to speak, by bringing him back. And also, Bob was able to give them a lot of good intel about the group and who was there. And it was just a bad play strategically, I think.
Oh no, definitely. But I mean, what can you do in that point? But
you got to do what the writers write.
Yeah, exactly. It's in the script. Come on, guys. No, I mean, but we kind of peel back the layers a little bit on this bishop or this pope, this priest guy. Find out that he is dirty.
Well, it was a bit refreshing that he was tougher on himself than what he actually did. I mean, I think it's certainly understandable that if you're in that situation and there's all this chaos going around, I mean, it happens to the soldiers in war. You're in such a terrified situation, you're not able to react. And I mean, it was horrible, and I understand why he was guilty, because he didn't let those people in. He didn't give them refuge inside the church, which is really the reason for the church being there, is to bring people in and save them in one way or another. And but I mean, women and children. But I can understand him panicking and not letting those people in, along with all the zombies, and especially after they were bit. And I mean, it was the first day too. So can you imagine going through that on the very first day that the dead are walking the earth, and being a very religious, a devout religious person, and knowing Revelations and the Scripture as far as the dead walking the earth again?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I can understand the personal, the internal struggle that he must have been going through every moment of
every time he was eating beans out of one of those cans that he kept in there safe for himself. I mean, yeah, I guess dirty is a good word. It just, I felt for him. I felt for the character.
And explains why, there was that moment between him and that chick in the picture, that be like, okay, that kind of explains that history a little bit. Now I understand, and we can move on to the next thing, sort of thing. And
well,
so they are.
It doesn't explain the glasses. Damn it, those glasses shouldn't have been on the head.
No doubt, but no. So the church is attacked, and here there's this the group is on the verge of splitting up. You know, that we've got some an almost internal little civil war going on between this the big guy, the big ginger, and the genius guy who's got to get to Washington D.C. to get this cure.
Sergeant Abram Ford and Dr. Eugene Porter.
And there's this division that's happening. So you're thinking, okay, well, they're going to take off, or it's going to be a huge brawl in the church. Or something's got to happen, and that's when this little deal is made up. Okay, stay one more night, help us out. And
I don't know about you, but whenever they were getting ready, when Rick and Sergeant Ford were going toe to toe and getting ready to fight it out, I don't know about you, but I remembered back whenever Sergeant Ford and Glenn, the Maggie's boyfriend, not little Maggie, but Maggie's little boyfriend, and Sergeant Ford went toe to toe, and Glenn did okay for himself.
He did.
I believe that Rick would have taken him. So
yeah.
So I think if Glenn can whoop his ass or come close to it, Rick's going to be able to take a bite out of his neck or something.
That look that he get when Rick was just like, Glenn, hey, and Glenn shot this look back to Rick and I'm like, oh
yeah, it's not your decision is what he told Rick, which I thought was good. It was good that he felt comfortable to stand up to Rick and say it's not your decision, and that's a great leader. Whenever your people that are feel they have the ability to speak their mind, and if you noticed, whenever Sergeant Ford was telling Dr. Eugene, the brains of the outfit, Eugene, let's go, and then he goes, I don't feel comfortable doing that, I think is what he said, and basically he's saying I don't want to.
Yeah.
And then Sergeant Ford orders him to get up and move, and Eugene gets up. Now that's two different leaders. That's a leader that is oppressive, and you're going to do what I say. Damn it, do it now. I don't care because I know better. And then there's the other kind of leader that leads because he takes every consideration. I mean, still reacts. You got to react in a timely manner, but brings people into it. Brings people into a consensus of what needs to happen. And not everybody's going to agree, but at least they feel like they were heard.
Well, and that's this Glenn did a very good job as a mediator in this sense, and brought the two factions, if you will, together. We've got two people that are missing. We've got a group that we know wants to hurt us now. We need to do something, and so they've got this plan, and we don't find out what the plan is until towards the end of the.
Yeah, that was written very well, and I thought I didn't know what they were doing. I knew they had something up their sleeve, and I figured it was going to work out well for Rick. And I
very much thought that it was going to be an offensive sort of thing, that they were going, because there was questions about the school, where it's located, how to get there, sort of thing, and they really kind of focused on that. So it was kind of a little bit of sleight of hand writing-wise to be like, okay, well, they're obviously now they have this intel on the school's location. So, logically speaking, they're gonna make an offensive. They're even talking about element of surprise. The last thing they're going to think of us doing is attacking them, sort of thing.
If you think about it, what the writers were doing they were bringing you or making you feel like you were the cannibals. They're giving you the idea of what the cannibals were going to need to believe for this thing to work out. So, for you to be surprised, just like the cannibal group was surprised, you needed to have that same mindset. So that was the trick they were trying to portray on the cannibals and the audience, and it worked. I thought it was done very well.
So did I. Now
I had a feeling that they were going to come back because it was with Carl there with a gun and a couple more people, a very small crew that was left there, and especially that baby. Can you imagine leaving your child there? And you thought that child had already been devoured by zombies, just like your wife was?
Well, I mean, Carl was 5 feet away from this infant, basically, and there's no hearing protection on the infant.
Oh yeah, I thought about that too.
I was just like, dude, if he's got to fire that gun, that baby's going to be deaf for the rest of its life, probably. That's just the way I think. But and then I'm thinking, oh, geez, they're spending a lot of focus time on Carl. Maybe this is his last scene. They come around the corner and it's two barrels right to the chest.
Well,
so
I didn't think there was a snowball's chance in hell that Rick was going to leave his two kids there. And even if I don't care how big Carl acts like he is, I didn't think that. I just knew he was going to come back. I didn't know how it was going to work, but I knew he was coming back. I didn't know that there was a plan, to suck them into the church. it was just like Sergeant Ford said, a very ballsy plan. Is a very ballsy move, and now I understand why. I mean, there was so many chips sitting there.
Yeah.
I mean, it would just take a spray from that AK-47 at any moment.
True. Now the direction I thought it was going to go was that, okay, they're going to, there might be some gunfire exchange, there's going to be some hostage taking, and they're going to end the show with Rick and maybe somebody else not being there.
Yeah, thank God it didn't go that way.
Discovering that, they're nibbling on Carl's toe or something like that, and he's got to see, and he's got to react. So we don't find out what's going to happen next until
finger food.
Right. So exactly. So it could have easily gone either direction. I think worked just as well either direction, but it definitely took that turn where it was a defensive strategy, and it was just a bloodbath, and they
don't give that away, too much of that away yet, because I want to talk about that about what happens next. But I thought it was great whenever the silencers that they had got in the prior show. And because right as the guy's getting ready to, I can't remember the guy's name, the leader of, I think I have it here, Garrett.
Okay.
The talker, the wimpy looking talker guy. The guy too damn much. You just want to bash his head in with a baseball bat and slit his throat over an empty pit. Anyway, he was just getting ready to pull the trigger on that AK-47, and people start dropping. And then he decides that he goes, I still got this gun pointed over here, and then the fingers go missing. Oh, I was so happy.
Yeah.
Shouldn't I feel bad about the pain and suffering, even if it's a cannibal?
At least I did a little mental fist pump, like, oh yeah, take that, and
it was just beautiful because this guy he's intelligent. So whenever Rick walks up to him and he says, well, you didn't kill us, so obviously you got something in mind. And Rick says, I didn't want to waste the bullets. And the look that comes over this guy's face, because he can identify, he's been in the zombie apocalypse. He knows how important ammo is, and he realizes.
Isn't that how we met him? He came in cataloging gunshots. How many did you kill? How many shots were you fire? I think those are like his first lines.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
So, and the look that comes over his face, you go, oh shit, I am screwed.
And you as the viewer just know instantly, oh, this is going to be a happy ending. He is going to get.
But if it was prior seasons, you wouldn't know if it was going to be tonight or in 3 shows down the road, because they may have a whole 12 Angry Men thing going on there for the next 3 episodes. But that's not what happened. So they went off. There was a payoff on that.
Yeah, there was definitely a payoff there, and a lot of aggression was released in those coming seconds. Then at the end of the show, there.
Could you imagine having your head bashed in by the butt of a perfectly working loaded weapon?
Yeah, that would be certainly something.
Because you're not worth the bullet that it takes to kill you.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, who's the big guy that's been taking care of the baby? You notice how he kind of peeked his head
Tyrese.
out? Maurice. Yes, thank you.
No, Tyrese.
Oh, Tyrese. Yeah. He had this very worried look on his face, like he's watching all this go down. Protecting the baby and ostensibly probably Carl as well. But, he's got this look on his face. This is what I didn't want to become type of thing. It's like this. I didn't want to turn into this, this bloodlusted, crazy person, as it were. And it was what it was is as these, all this aggression was being taken out on these people. So
well, this didn't have to happen. They overrode Rick because Rick says we have to go back and take care of the rest of those cannibals. So this didn't have to happen. It could have been taken care of way back 2 episodes ago.
It's true. You got to stretch it out a little bit, but they did a good job of carrying the storyline on, I thought.
Yeah, it was fast paced, which is another new thing for this series.
Exactly. Yeah, and we talked a little bit before the show about comparisons between this season and last season. in that, last season it just kind of left you a little meh. They really didn't outdo themselves as they had in the prior few seasons.
Well, it took them the whole last season just to get most of the people together, and of course that didn't actually culminate until the first episode this season, I believe, where they were all back together again. And I guess to a certain degree it makes it to happen too quick because of the logistics and zombies and everything else that are in this mix. So they did need a focal point like Terminus to go to. And I guess that was the important thing about Terminus, because if you think about it, you've run across enough people to know that it's probably not going to be a good idea to go to this place where it's their environment, where they're in control of it, and they can take up positions and set up where they can control you. So for Rick and his group to go there, I'm not quite sure. I'd probably have to go back and rewatch it to better understand it, but I'm not quite sure why they. And I know they weren't trusting when they got there. And that side of beef they were cooking looked an awful lot like a human rib cage. But I thought they were a little too trusting. But I understand from a storyline, they needed a central point for all the characters to come to. They needed to have signs that would bring them to one point. So they could reunite. So I got that. It's just I don't know how realistic that would be.
They needed an antagonist. We didn't have the governor anymore. We didn't have a horde of zombies. Well, I guess there's always a horde of zombies on their tail, but they needed another focal point of evil.
Right.
Bad guy.
I thought the governor was bad. These cannibals they were all smiles and happy until they're ready to eat you.
Yeah, talk about taking things to another level. I mean, that's a way to go, writers. They really stepped it up and just from a bad person to some really twisted Fs.
Well, yeah, they're not so they're good human beings. They just have this appetite for your flesh.
Oh, is that all?
They'll spend the time talking to you and patting you on the head as they're chewing on your leg. But anyway, let me come on back to the church scene. So I was really surprised that Rick actually had that machete that he described in the prior episodes, where he said, "I'm going to kill you with a red-handled."
Oh my God!
So
I did.
You didn't see that? Yeah. So he says when he says I made a promise to you, and he reaches back there and pulls out that machete with that red handle and starts hacking the guy to death. And even though the guy's facing away from you, there's something there, some body language. Maybe I just portrayed it in my own mind, but I got the feeling that he was in stark terror because it was that moment that he knew his life was ending.
Yep. Wow. I have to go back and watch that episode again, if nothing else for that scene. Because that's something I guess I didn't put two and two together. I didn't notice it. Maybe my attention was diverged just slightly. Either way, yeah. You just blew my mind, so to speak.
It was an arc. It was an arc, and they tied it in. And I literally, I don't do this for shows, very, very seldom. I literally went with both hands. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Good. Hack him. Because. Yeah. If for no other reason, all those many episodes and all that crap the governor was doing to people after episode, and nobody would just put a bullet in the back of the guy's head when they had the opportunity. This was a much better payoff because this was a very evil person that was twisted his thoughts into some sort of a good reasoning for doing what he needed to do. And unfortunately for him, he didn't get the same treatment as the governor's character, which was many episodes, but it was a much better payoff. It was like they've learned something about dealing with people like this. We don't want to butcher somebody, but sometimes you have to butcher people that aren't worth being in this world.
Well, I mean, killing them, taking them out of our own misery, so to speak, definitely the right thing to do. I think, going beyond just, stabbing them in the head, or shooting them, once in the head or something like that. They definitely took out a lot of frustration, some aggressions and stuff like that. I mean, it was a final release, so to speak, of all this pent up rage anger and the revenge was finally it was served, and it wasn't very cold.
And the pent up anger and frustration of the audience. I mean, it's like what I was just describing about being upset about the governor not being killed a lot sooner than what he was.
Well, and so now we still, the scene goes to this other group, the Sergeant Ford and Eugene taking off in the bus with presumably Glenn, maybe Maggie, and
Glenn,
and what was that?
They were definitely in the bus.
And what was it? Not Maggie, the chick in the flannel. I think she was, had pledged her allegiance, as it were.
Not Sasha. Michonne? Was it Michonne that was the one with the sword? Oh, Michonne got her sword back. After they butchered those guys. It's like, well, looky there. And she made a big deal or a little deal, I should say, about missing her sword. Like she wasn't some sort of swordsman. It was no big to her. It was just a sword. But that's not what happened when she found it. That wasn't the look on her face.
Picked it up.
She found her missing arm. She found her missing leg. Sorry, Bob, because it was something that was missing from her that she definitely was happy to have back.
Definitely. And so it's going to be fun to see her wield that again in episodes for sure.
Especially for such a little girl doing that thing. I was a little surprised that the groups split up. And kudos, they do need to wait for Daryl and I forgot her name.
Maggie.
Not Maggie. Maggie's on the bus. Melissa McBride. Carol.
Carol, thank you. Jeez.
Yeah, they're missing. And why in the world would they be gone so long? But the previews of next episode, I think, give us a clue to that. Well, but before I go into that, I just want to mention what's wrong with Carol. I think that's the same where you're going.
Right. Yeah. The last scene was, it's dark, I think, and
something. Daryl's upset about something.
Yeah. Daryl they came out of the bushes. Somebody's over there. And Daryl comes walking out of the bushes, and I forgot who it was who greeted him.
Michonne.
But and she says, where's Carol?
Mm-hmm.
And first you think he's gonna kind of give that very slow shake of the head as if to say, she didn't make it,
right? But she made it.
Then he kind of turns a little bit and it says, come on out or something like that, or So
do you think she's bit?
It leads you.
Do you think she's bit?
I think so.
I hope not. I really
don't either.
Carol's character has gone from a beaten woman by a barbaric man that she was married to into this person that can be out in the wilderness on her own for
she's a warrior.
Yeah, for days or and pull a bullet in a kid's head. I mean, wow.
Yeah, no, she's a survivor, by any means necessary. I mean, she essentially broke them out of that terminus. I mean, if it wasn't for her, there would have been some headless horsemen here.
Yeah.
So
I'll have to go back and watch, but I still don't understand why she did that.
I think an alliance, maybe some maternal instinct because of.
No, I don't remember how she knew they were in there. It just seemed like to me she was just doing that.
Oh, I thought she found something.
Maybe I'll have to go back and watch it, but just in my mind, I'm going, I don't know what the connection was.
Her and Tyrese, they found that guy at the shack, and he said, "Oh yeah, we got your friends," or whatever.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Didn't
know, they didn't.
They
didn't know they were friends. They had somebody. I'll have to go back and watch it to make sure. But anyway, let's see. There was one other thing. So the priest is still there. It's you get a little bit an explanation, and of course, and the priest actually articulated something that I thought after that mass murder or justified homicides took place in the church. I felt bad that was happening in a church, a house of worship, a house of God. And he articulated my feeling about that. I was very glad that they were dead, but I almost wish they had taken them outside the church to do it.
Yes, I know. I'm thinking, wow, that's a lot of blood spilt on holy ground, man. And that's kind of some bad juju there, I think, and
it's
so
it just wasn't the right thing to do, is the way I felt it. And they handled it very well in the storyline.
Well, I think now this is going to be, tainted ground, much like the tainted meat of Bob, the barbecue.
But it was tainted before because of what the preacher did.
Definitely, and if that, regardless of how safe this building might be, would definitely have, I think, left a bad enough taste in everybody's mouth that they would have stuck around too much longer, anyways. Yeah. So now that okay, well, now what's done is done, and I think it's time for us to move on, type of thing. We're going to see whatever is coming out of the bushes with Daryl. And I'm thinking, okay, the other side of the coin of that, it could be Carol and maybe 20 or 30 other people.
That's true.
They found another camp or something like that.
Oh, I hope it's not. I hope it's not some cannibals that weren't killed off.
Well, yeah, exactly. Hey, we found somebody, and or maybe I don't know. There could be all.
But Daryl has a worried look on his face. Now it could be based on them finding Beth. You saw that, right, in the previews for next episode? So it looks like that they found Beth. I didn't make that connection when the car drove by and they jumped in that Charger or whatever it was that Carol had been working on and chased it off. So apparently that vehicle had – I didn't see the cross. I didn't see the cross on the car.
There was a huge, gigantic – I think it was an upside-down cross, maybe. I don't know. Okay, now I can't remember the orientation of it, but it was a Chrysler 300 that came screeching around the corner, and the entire back windshield, the entire back window was, it was all tinted out, but it had this gigantic silver cross in it.
Okay, and I completely missed it.
Sticker. And so something about that symbol – kind of ticked them off.
Well, that's what Daryl saw when he ran out last season to try to find Beth that he had been buddying around with, those two together, and the car was driving off. So he saw something about that car, and he recognized it whenever it drove by. So he was going off to find Beth. I understand that now because of seeing the next season. Not next season, next show previews. But it's interesting because Beth looks like she's in some sort of medical facility and being held there against her will.
Yeah, it looks like something. She may be a lab rat or something like that. She is in a building. She's in a glassed room or a room with a view, so to speak. She's looking out over a city. It seems like, or you get the illusion of that's what it is, anyways. But she is definitely there against her will. Or so we are led to believe.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But Beth's alive, at least in the first part or some part of the episode.
Well, I'm looking forward to episode 504, for the fourth episode of the fifth season, as it were. So we'll be talking much more about that episode the next week.
I just want to wrap up with this. I thought it was a very nice touch after the potential could have taken place inside the church by Rick and Sergeant Ford, that on the map that he handed Rick, and oh my God, that's such a long ways from where they are on the map to Washington, D.C., and I'm thinking to myself, good God, that's going to be a perilous journey. There, but that note that he left for Rick, asshole, this world needs people like Rick Grimes. Come to Washington. People need we need people like Rick Grimes. And I thought that was just outstanding and excellent writing because here's two very strong willed men, and when they have time to think about it, at least one of them says, I don't want to fight. I need you as an ally because you're a strong person that makes the right decisions. Right.
Yeah, that's definitely well written. I agree with you there because you get this impression that there's definitely this division. The two factions are splitting, and there might be some animosity there, and that is definitely quenched. I think there's a level of respect, a sort of reaffirmation of character, if you will, of this sergeant character, and that he really is a good guy, has some good intentions, and I think we all can agree a good judgment of character himself.
Well, he's no Shane, that's for sure.
Well, so it's hopefully we get to those paths will cross again.
Oh, I think it's going to happen very quickly. I think they're going to get caught up very quickly. Something's going to happen to that bus. They're going to run across them. I don't think we're going to see a separation, especially with Glenn and Maggie.
I think I think it's going to be a few episodes. I think that there's going to be another storyline that pops up with whatever's coming out of the bushes, and we're going to have to, at least for one, not two, spend a little bit of time figuring out what was up with that car. What did Carol and Daryl find, and what's going to happen next?
Oh, and I'll just mention this very quickly. Bob had a great send-off. I mean, his character had a great send-off. And, in fact, I actually looked up on the Internet, and, Homeland Security is going to come by and question me one of these days, because I was doing a search on holes in the skull where you could stick a knife in the way Tyrese did, because Tyrese did that thing where he doesn't like killing people, and he very gently pushed that knife into the dead Bob's dead head so that he wouldn't come back as a zombie. And so I remember somebody actually live tweeting during the show that Tyrese is such a good man because he's tired of the killing. He doesn't want to do this anymore, but he's taking care of this for his sister, so his sister doesn't have to do it. And a very caring character. There's very few people that you want. I mean, there's very few people you would want as a babysitter for your child in the zombie apocalypse, and Tyrese is one of those people.
There is not a character in the show that has a bigger heart than he does, I think.
Yeah. So but Bob had such a great send-off, and I'm a big Laurie Holden fan, and I really enjoyed her as Andrea, even though her choices of people to buddy around with weren't so good.
Right.
I would have, if she's going to be kicked out of the show, or maybe she wanted to be, I don't know. They could have done a much better send-off than her being bit and nothing. I mean, nothing. She was a much bigger character than Bob was. And then that's how they sent her off, was just, no big deal, nothing. It's just, we got to go.
Such a beloved character like Herschel was, written out of the show in such a horrific manner, yet this Bob character, who's really only been around for maybe a total of a season, half of last season, and part of this season.
Plus, he's an alcoholic.
Right. Almost got some people killed a couple of times. So and he gets this wonderful. I'm wondering if it came down to the way that the writers felt about the actors.
I don't. Maybe the actors get written off because of how they are in person. I don't know. I can't imagine the Herschel. He's been around doing acting for many decades, 50 years at least. I remember him stuff back in the 60s.
He pissed somebody off.
Well, but even that was a very memorable send-off. I mean, that was a very. Right. I mean, as far as an actor goes, that's not bad. But just to be left in a stall to be shot or kill yourself or whatever. I forget what happened to Andrea now, but it was a very minimal send-off and much bigger one for Bob. I don't know, whatever reason they did it. It was very nice seeing that with Bob. It may have gone a little too long for my tastes, but I think it worked out well. And while Sasha was sitting there and weeping after Bob died, I'm thinking to myself, would you move away from the body that's getting ready to turn into a zombie? I like you, and I don't want to see you bit. So I'm sorry, guys. We could ramble on for a long time. We were going to do this for 15 minutes, and we're already looking at 35. So we're going to wrap it up and talk more about The Walking Dead next week. So please let us know what you think about your thoughts on The Walking Dead, and maybe where we got it right, maybe where we got it wrong. You can go over to TonyandJosh.com. You see the little speak pipe icon there on the right-hand side of the screen. And tell us what you think. Tell us what you think about what we're talking about, or, like I said, where we went right or where we went wrong.
Hope to hear from you soon. See you later, guys.
Have a good night. Thank you. Well, I hope you were able to cover everything that you wanted to cover.
Oh yeah, no, we went through it. Obviously, we covered quite a lot. 35 minutes. I was thinking, okay, yeah, we'll go 10 minutes. No, we'll go 50. The 15 is a nice round number. They should like 20. a half-hour show of Walking Dead, sure. We're going at a good pace here. It's like 35 minutes. Okay, we've got to stop this madness.
Well, there was certain things I knew I wanted to articulate, like the thing about the wasting of the bullet and the look on that guy's face, and and I'm glad I mentioned about the machete. I thought everybody knew that because of the promise that he made, and he literally says, "I made a promise to you," and he pulls out the machete that he promised to kill him with, and it was just like, yes. I don't remember seeing that zombie Rick. I mean that machete Rick. Where'd you get that? They wrote that into the storyline and it just happened to appear in the bag.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just it. I don't remember seeing him grabbing it. Them making a point of Rick is grabbing the machete here in this scene. Zoom in, pan, watch, follow. Sort of. It's I don't remember seeing that, and so. Maybe it didn't click because I didn't think.
No, because a lot of times they'll do that where they'll lead you in so that you'll make that connection, and they didn't lead you into it this time. Other than, I guess they did to a degree because I remember him saying a red-handled machete, and I'm thinking to myself, why would you want a red-handled machete in zombie country? Why do you want anything brightly colored? I don't know that they come to bright colors, but more so than sound, but. I mean, a red-handled machete. I mean, I'm the same way with with machetes as I am with guns. I don't want it to be something that you can see. It's
right.
Strategically, it's much better if it's as invisible as possible, and you don't know it's there until it's cutting you. So when he said red handle, and so maybe that's why they call it was a red handle, is because when he pulled it out, you're going to see that and make the connection. Anyway, I was happy I did because I was like, yes, promise fulfilled. I forgot I was going to mention this during the show, and I forgot. Can you imagine with that look that Rick has that he's been able to come up with for the show, if he's at a fine restaurant and his steak is either undercooked or overcooked, and he's telling the waiter that he wants this isn't the steak I ordered, with that Rick Grimes look on his face like he's getting ready to kill you. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap up the live feed here. I'm scratching my nose. We're trying not to on camera, so I'm gonna stop this stream so I can scratch the hell out of this nose, and just say good night. Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed both segments of the show, the main show and the zombie segment. So we'll catch you next week.
Take care, guys. See you next time.